There's a story that comes from a man named Grandpa Iron that I never met. Grandpa Iron's people were Shoshone from out near the Silver Mountains. We call those the Rocky Mountains. A long time ago, his people were camped near the place of the boiling earth. We call that Yellowstone today. And they were camped near boiling earth place because the buffalo and the elk were very, very, very large. That year hunting was very good. But through a tragedy, they found themselves without a leader. So very quickly the elders came and they gathered and they just talked about this, and they selected a woman chief. Her name was White Wolf. White Wolf was selected because she was known to be very strong with her decision making, very wise with her clan and her family. And they saw these things in White Wolf, so they made her chief. But very shortly after she was made chief, the elders noticed that she was prone to outbreaks of rage and anger over very small things. So secretly they met to talk about this because maybe they had selected an improper person to lead them. So maybe they would choose another chief, but this normally wasn't done. The eldest grandpa was a man named Small Bear. Very old grandpa, a very slender man, short. And Small Bear had been struck by lightning 4 winters earlier, which left him with very powerful medicine. Small Bear would lead these elders to make this decision about a new chief. And he wasn't sure about doing this. Normally, a new chief like this was not selected in secret. So one morning before everyone arose, he went out to a lake very far away. It wasn't one of the boiling water lakes, because as the sun started to come up and he was in that prayer, out in the middle of that lake was the largest bull moose he had ever seen. The largest animal in all the woods, bigger than the bear. And that large, powerful animal was eating from the bottom of the lake and then would walk back to the shore. And there was a cow and a calf over there. And Small Bear watched, and the moose went back to the lake, would eat, and then would go back to the shore. 4 times he watched this. And as strong and powerful as that large male moose was, in the most gentlest of ways, he was simply teaching that young calf how to eat. And Small Bear was overcome with emotion from seeing the power in that gentleness. And he ran as fast as those old legs would carry him. He went back to the village and people were just waking up. He got all the elders together. And this time they invited White Wolf to come. And he shared the story about that moose family. And White Wolf knew that that story was for her. And she stood up and she looked at each one of those elders and promised that she would change the way that she conducted business with the people. And Grandpa Iron said that White Wolf was chief a very long time, until she died an old woman. It's about the Comanche people out toward the panhandle of Texas, out in that part of the country. But a long time ago, the Comanche went through a period of time where crops were not good, buffalo hunting was not so good, and snows came very early. They had not really prepared for winter. They came so early and they were so deep. The snows every day got deeper and deeper. And every day the hunters would go out to hunt and they would bring back food. But every day they had to go out farther and farther to find the animals. And farther, and sometimes they would come back empty-handed with no food. And the hunters would go out even farther, maybe for an entire day or 2, and they would still come back empty-handed because the animals were gone and the snows were still piling up. There was a young hunter named Yatanate. Yatanate was young. He was the strongest of all the hunters and was known to be as accurate as any. So Yatanate said, I will go out, I will find food. I will find an elk or a deer meat. I will find something of a large animal. I will not return until I find one. So Yatanate went out for a day, 2 days, He started tracking animals. 3 days he's gone. And he's hit by a large blizzard. A snowstorm comes. And it's blinding snow as they can be out there. And he finds a cave, a rock outcropping actually, to get under. And he rides out that storm, and that storm lasts for about 3 days. And he comes out, and he starts going and finding his way home, even though he's empty-handed. And then all at once he looks around when the sun comes out and the sky turns a little blue, and he realizes that none of the mountain peaks look familiar to him. So he travels several days east. Nothing looks familiar. Several days south, west, north. He's completely lost. He's in a country that he's never seen before. So Yatanate lives by himself. And he lives a very long life, and he constantly searches for his people and never finds them. He finds other tribes, other enemies that he stays away from, but he never finds his village. One day he's an old man. He spent many, many winters in these mountains and plains. And he's an old man, and his hair is gray. And he's out hunting one day, and he looks into a pool of water to reach down to get a drink. And as he looks in that clear, still water, he sees the reflection like a mirror of his face. There's lines on his forehead and lines in his neck from age. And he's looking at his aged face, and as he looks, he realizes that his face is a map of every place he has ever been. He sees the mountain ridges on his foreheads where he has hunted the elk. And he saw the plains where he had hunted the buffalo. All these places and rivers going down his neck. All these, it was a map of every place he had ever been was on his face. And he looked at this map, and he saw all these places where he had been, but there was one place here he had never seen before. Could that be the place of his village? It's the only place he had never journeyed. Using his face as a map and pools of water along the way, the old man used his face as a map and got back to that place, here, where he had never been. As he got close to that place, off in the distance he could hear children playing. He saw the tops of some teepee lodges. They were Comanche lodges. He got closer and he could hear the sound of men. They were making tools. And Yatanate, after being lost all of his life and dwelling through the deserts and the mountains, he had found his home. Now, a lot of people would run into that village to see if he could find some family, but he didn't do that. He dropped to his knees and he thanked the Spirit for his long life and all of the benefits and all of the gifts he had received in his very long life. He was thankful for all of that. And after he gave his thanks, he picked up his weapons and his tools, and he slowly walked back home to his people.